8 in the morning. 2 million people are awake in this city, and almost every single one of them is trying to get somewhere. This is the same corner 4 hours later. Nobody left. Nobody drove away. Everyone who is standing here is simply not here. And this is the same corner again, 500 years later. Same angle, same hour, same city. Everything else has changed. Houston is a rainforest now, not overgrown, not abandoned. An actual rainforest with a canopy and a floor and everything in between. This was always going to happen here. 50 inches of rain a year and heat, and a very long growing season. The only thing ever standing between this city and a jungle was people, with tools, cutting things back every single week. Those straight ridges under the canopy are freeways, 18 lanes wide, and you would never find one without knowing where to look. There are still cars down here. About 4 million of them, and everyone is now a small hill covered in ferns. The towers went green from the bottom up. Vines climb about 3 meters a year, and nothing here was ever going to stop them. Inside them, it is also forest. Dust blew in through the broken windows for 2 centuries and slowly turned into soil. There are trees growing on the 40th floor of buildings that have not had a usable staircase in 400 years. Some of the buildings are being held upright by the things growing through them. The roots are load-bearing now. Everywhere else, roots are doing the opposite. Concrete cracks, water gets in, a root follows the water, and the crack becomes a gap. The roads went first. There's no asphalt left anywhere in this basin. There is only forest floor with straight edges underneath it. The towers come down about 1 every 20 years now. It is the loudest thing that happens here, and it happens without warning. Every window opening on every tower is a ledge, and something is nesting in almost all of them. Down at ground level, you cannot see the sky. There are 6 layers of canopy between the forest floor and open air. Almost no light reaches the bottom. What does reach it arrives in narrow moving shafts, and everything down here is competing for them. It is wet here constantly, not raining, just wet. The air holds the water, and the leaves keep handing it back. The biggest trees here are about 400 years old, which means they started growing roughly a century after the last person left. Half of what flowers here came from somebody's garden. The other half came from a shipping container, and now nobody can tell the difference. Every morning the fog comes off the bayous and sits in the canopy until about 10, and then the heat burns it off. And then in the afternoon it rains, the way it always did here. Except now there is nothing underneath it made of metal. When a building finally falls, it tears a hole in the canopy, and for about 30 years that hole is the busiest place in the forest. The bayous were in concrete channels for 300 years. They broke out of them within about a decade of being left alone. The water is clear now, all the way down. Nothing is being put into it, so it simply stopped being dirty. There are waterfalls in this city. They come off broken freeway ramps, 40 feet down into the trees, and they run all year. About a third of this basin is underwater permanently now. Nobody is pumping anything, and this was always a swamp to begin with. The flooded streets are the richest part of the whole city. Warm, shallow, still water, with 500 years of leaf litter in it, which is exactly what an alligator wants, and there are a great many of them down there. Everything that hunts fish is here too, standing in the shallows, doing what it has always done, just in a different room. The rivers are the only clear paths left. Everything that moves through this city for any distance moves along the water. The herbivores came first because there was suddenly more to eat here than anywhere else on this coast. The parrots are escaped pets, 40 generations on. There are around 200,000 of them, and they are impossibly loud. Everything has sorted itself into layers: ground, trunk, mid-canopy, top. Different animals, different food, same tree, and they rarely meet. Black bears own the ground floor. They came down from the north within about 80 years and never had a reason to leave. The boar were here before anybody left. They were a problem then. Now they are just part of the arrangement. Most of what lives here is small enough to sit on your hand, and most of it has no name at all. Some of it is considerably larger than your hand and lives up in the canopy where almost nothing ever looks. When the light comes through a gap, everything in the area shows up. It is the closest thing this forest has to a town square, and every one of those animals is being watched all day by something that has been sitting completely still since before sunrise. The big cats moved up from the south. They followed the coast, found a forest nobody was defending, and stayed. This is the best ambush country in North America. Dense cover, no sight lines, soft wet ground, and prey that has nowhere open to run. The deer know, they always know. Something changes in the air and 40 animals stop moving at exactly the same moment. Then it happens, and it happens faster than anything else in this forest ever moves. The whole herd goes at once straight through undergrowth that would stop a person dead, and they do not look back. Most of the time she misses. Roughly 1 hunt and 7 works, which is why she waited 11 hours for this one. Up above the canopy, there is a different kind of hunting, and the towers turned out to be perfect for it. And down in the flooded districts, the oldest hunting method on this continent is still working exactly as well as it always did. Then it goes quiet again. Within 4 minutes, the birds are back in the branches and the forest has completely forgotten about it. At night, this place is not quiet. It is the loudest it gets, and almost none of it is friendly. The forest floor glows. Fungus does that, and in 500 years of undisturbed leaf litter, there is an enormous amount of fungus. She hunts the old streets after dark because that is where the prey moves, and because she can cross the whole city without being seen. The bats leave at dusk, around 3 million of them, out of 6 buildings in a little under 4 minutes. Some of the flowers here only open after dark, and a few of them glow because the things that pollinate them fly at night. And with no lights anywhere on this coast, you can see the whole galaxy from the middle of what used to be downtown. 500 years is nothing. It is 6 human lifetimes. That's the entire distance between a traffic jam and this. Nothing here was destroyed. This is simply what this place does when nobody is standing on it holding it back.